Hey everybody, I'm Danny Otto. Welcome into an all-new episode of That Recap Show. Now, before we get into the episode, just wanted to say, major spoiler alert, we are going to be going over everything from Season 3, Episode 8 of The Bad Batch. So if you haven't watched that episode yet, you may want to pause this video, head over to Disney Plus, check out that episode, and then come back and enjoy the breakdown. Now, with that out of the way, let's start the show!
Poppin' Off presents That Recap Show.
Joining with me to break down everything from Season 3, Episode 8 of The Bad Batch, it's Jon Jon Rico.
Hey.
Hi.
What's going on?
So much. We have so much more content. Like, we were just talking about it before we started recording. Like,
things are ramping up, baby.
I mean, look, when we had the lull, we were like, any minute now, things are going to ramp up. And now we're like, things are ramping up, and we're like, we're going to have to record like 6 days in a row.
Oh, God.
So many things. But anyway, Bad Batch.
Bad Batch.
And look, this kind of left on a cliffhanger, not to get in too far of what we're going to be talking about, but like this was another one of those, like, I could have been super happy to get like the second episode just right there to answer what kind of the cliffhanger ending that we got. But before we get too far ahead of ourselves, going right into it, we're going with bounty hunting. Like, I loved that it just, like, you know, a couple minutes into the episode, and that's what we're doing. Like, I was just like, awesome, I'm in. Like, immediately. And then they were like, we're going with Fennec, and I was like, cool. Like, as soon as I heard the word bounty hunter, I was like, are we gonna see Boba? Are we gonna see, who are we gonna see here?
Yeah, who are we getting from that world?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I got really excited for that, and yeah, I mean, solid episode. I had a lot of fun with it, and it was just kind of, it was fun to kind of get back into that, I guess, adventure of the week episode type of thing. I enjoyed that. I enjoyed kind of having, you know, just kind of like, these are our characters that are going to go off on this mission for a little while type of thing. So I had a lot of fun with it. But Rico, what were some of your instant reactions from episode 8?
Yeah, this was definitely like our little filler episode, especially after the 2-part that we had last week with all the fun and stuff like that. That was just that was a really epic 2-part episode that we had. So this was kind of a nice little, almost like a lighthearted adventure, like you said, just to kind of, you know, it's a little palate cleanser, I would say.
Yeah.
Which I really like. And one of the things I love about this show is, one thing is the art style is that, you know, the way that the Clone Wars style of animation is just kind of upgraded throughout the years. And I feel like this show is kind of like that style at its best. Like some of the lands and the landscapes and stuff and the planets look really amazing. And I really love Star Wars in the Swamp. I was just talking about this before the episodes started. That I was really like the way they take certain things from, like, you know, just normal everyday life here on Earth, of course, but they just kind of Star Warsify it a little bit. So like, hey, it's a Star Wars version of an airboat. My gosh, that's pretty cool. So
that's a space gator.
Exactly. Yeah. So I just really love that. Just like, hey, we're gonna just do everything just like that. This feels like you're doing Star Wars in Louisiana, essentially. So I enjoyed the episode for a fun reason like that, and fighting weird praying mantis dudes that look really scary and creepy. So yeah, I thought this was a really enjoyable episode. Though it didn't have anything major that happened to it overall. We're kind of just forwarding small little threads and storylines that continue in major episodes later on. But it was still fun.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you if the fact that the enemy that they were hunting down, the fact that he was kind of bug related, if you were getting like Helldiver 2 flashbacks while you were watching.
Oh yeah, I wanted to put him down so bad.
I wanted to see your reaction to go like, I'm in my pod. Like,
I got the legs. Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm in my pod.
There we go. But anyway, you want to get to some big takeaways?
Let's do it.
Awesome. All right, I'm gonna kick off big takeaways, and just like you said, even though we kind of had like a filler or an adventure of the week episode, we still did have little threads that are kind of connecting to the main like arc of the entire season. Obviously, they're going to be wrapping up a ton of things throughout the rest of this season that we're getting and stuff like that. But one of the things that I do appreciate is we have this kind of through line story of Omega and Crosshair relationship, like where they're kind of becoming like a brother sister, kind of is what you kind of related to. I said more friendship, but it makes sense. More of a family, more of a brother and sister kind of relationship.
Yeah.
And we're seeing a lot of attention on Crosshair's handshaking and stuff like that. Where his
tremors.
Yeah, it's really taking effect with his aim. And this episode, we actually had, I guess they gave us a lot of information in a very short amount of time where, they kind of, the robot kind of went through all the medical testing they could. And he was like, physically, there's nothing wrong with you. So I think there's something in your brain. So we have some interesting scenes where we have Omega kind of, trying to break through with Crosshair, kind of mentally, like, we had the meditation scene and we had stuff like that where we're kind of like paying a lot of attention to the fact. I think it was really important that the droid said this isn't a physical injury, it may be a mental block type of thing. Not even, he didn't say mental injury, he said mental block. So meaning that it's something that can be overcome. And I think this might be put here for a future event happening. And what I think is the fact that obviously there's going to be some sort of breakthrough that he's going to have to overcome to be able to line up a shot and still be able to do it, type of thing. Like, you know what I mean? I think it's going to be like a, maybe not a life or death situation, but like a situation where he has to hit a shot. And that's going to kind of have him finally break through and overcome this mental block that he has right now. And I think we're getting all of the tiny, small breadcrumbs for that right now, where we're getting a lot of focus on his tremors in his hand, and we're getting, the little bits and pieces like that we got from the droid, where it's not like there's something wrong with his wrist or like ligaments or anything like that. It's more of like a mental block and stuff like that. So I think this is going to be like, I think this is a breadcrumb for something bigger to come, type of thing.
Yeah, especially now that he knows it too. I
Right.
think that's what he's going to spend the next few episodes definitely focusing on for sure.
Yeah, definitely. But Rigo, what were some of your big takeaways from this episode?
Yeah, I definitely love that stuff too, with just the growing relationship between Omega and Crosshair has been one of the things I love about this season particularly. We were talking about kind of the meditation scene particularly before we started recording. I would think how that's kind of a great example to me of how throughout the entire series that Omega has just been really great at learning things from people that she's learned from throughout the past of the series. So in this particular case, it was Gunji from Kashyyyk, and I like that she even like gives him a little bit of credit. She goes, "You've been to Kashyyyk," and he goes, "Yeah, of course I've been there."
You've missed a lot.
Yeah, you've missed a lot. Yeah,
you've missed a lot.
Yeah,
you've been to Kashyyyk.
You've missed a lot.
And we've seen that she learned stuff from people like Fee, who we got to see in this episode once again, which is great to see her again.
Who?
She's a liberator of ancient wonders. Pirate.
And of course Hunter and Tech and all these guys. So it's really cool how she's kind of like this amalgamation of everybody that she's met within the series. And it's kind of like when you go to a fountain drink dispenser and you get one of all the drinks. She's that suicide drink right there.
Would not recommend that.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend it, but if you want all the flavors, she's kind of all the flavors mixed in one right there. But my main takeaway over here is I love me some Fennec Shand, man. I think when it comes to some of the newer characters that have been introduced to Star Wars over the past several years, I would say ever since The Mandalorian started, she's probably one of my favorites for sure, and I love the way they've kind of weaved her into different stories throughout her run as a character, whether it's introducing her in Mandalorian and then bringing her all the way back to probably 20 plus years, whatever it was for the Bad Batch. So it's really cool to kind of see this character kind of you're seeing elements of her character, later on the story in the timeline and Mandalorian and Book of Boba Fett, where she's got kind of a good heart and you're kind of getting to see kind of shades of that in this episode too, where you get to see, early on in her life, she still had that element to her as well. So I think she's just one of my favorite Star Wars characters, and I really like that they brought her in for this one.
Yeah, and I mean, I feel like I've said this multiple times. Is it's really cool that we're kind of, we're taking pockets of time with projects both before and after that have older characters that are still like taking, like, we still have characters. So like you said, Book of Boba Fett, Mandalorian, we still see Fennec there, but we go all the way back in time to where the Bad Batch is, and we get some elements of Fennec here too. So it's really cool to be able to play around with the different pockets of time that this giant Star Wars universe has. And so it's just really interesting to be able to write into a little pocket of time and to see like snapshots of characters that we know later on. So we know, number one, we know she's not going to die. She can't. But also it's interesting, like you said, to kind of see elements of their character and then see like later how those elements have evolved in that character personally.
Yeah, and the way they used her, what I thought was perfect as well, is like they need information, so they go to her and she goes, "Okay, I got the information you need, but you need to help me do this one job, and I'll help you get the information." It felt very Mandalorian-esque the way they kind of format their episodes, right? But also, I also am a big fan of Ming-Na Wen, going back to Mulan, to when she was Agent May in Agents of Shield. I just think it's a great way to utilize her as a younger version of this character, and also having her play the current version of character in in the later version of the timeline. So again, it's just really cool when you hear her playing that voice, and she loves playing the character too. So it's always fun when you see someone having fun playing a fun character like that.
Yeah, absolutely, totally agree. You want to get to some predictions?
Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome. All right, why don't you kick off predictions?
Okay, so at the end of the episode, Fennec makes a call to a mysterious character regarding like the clones' mission and everything. We don't get to see this character, and it had me wondering, because the clones are looking for information on M count bounty, and we learned about there are certain bounty hunters looking for M count targets, and we don't know if particularly this is one of those people. We don't know if it could be Asajj Ventress, who is very familiar with M count herself, given that she's force sensitive and was an apprentice to Dooku at one point. But to me, I have a feeling that that's who she could be in contact with, and there's a lot regarding Ventress' story that still needs to be addressed. Like, one, how is she still alive in general? But it'd be interesting to see if she's still running around with Quinlan Voss. It'd be great to see that character again too. But those are definitely characters that could give them a lot of information on MCOW, of course, and but also it'd be a great way to kind of intertwine this storyline with the Path, which was the way they were smuggling in like force sensitive that we saw in Obi-Wan when they were hiding through people. And Obi-Wan even makes the reference to Quinlan, like Quinlan was here and stuff like that. So it'd be kind of cool if we see that like there's some kind of version of that within the Bad Batch itself. So and it'd be nice to know, the Bad Batch were there at some point. And so that'd be a really great way of connecting two big things from major Star Wars stories. So there's a lot to look forward to when it comes to Ventress' overall appearance.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, that was what I was alluding to when I said at the very beginning. I was like, I would have been happy if we had a two-parter this week also, because I would have instantly wanted to know like what was happening, like what's going to get set into motion now, obviously, because I mean, that's what's going to happen next. I'm assuming is we're going to find out either who was on the other end, or, Fennec getting information or sending information that she can to whoever the mysterious person is.
It seems like it was something that could be addressed either in the next episode, or it could still be saved for like a couple episodes down the line. Like they could be running into things. So I like that they kind of left it pretty open-ended on that regard. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, there were a ton of questions, like I said, from this episode. One of the other questions I had, because obviously the first one was, who is Fennec talking to? And I told you before we even started recording, I instantly was like, oh, I'm going to put that. But I saw you had already put that. But my next question is like, and this is more of like, I was telling you, I'm not taking giant leaps, but I realize I'm taking a couple steps type of thing.
Yeah.
So
you're throwing spaghetti at the wall, as they say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we can assume that M count is metachlorian count. which, you know, we know the higher people, like the people who have high metachlorian count are force sensitive type of thing like that. We understand that, which would make sense in story of why the Empire might find them of interest,
Right.
like high metachlorian count. And we know from the early episodes of the season that obviously Omega has some higher levels of M count, metachlorian count.
The desired amount.
Right. So what I'm wondering is if we are potentially laying the breadcrumbs for an Omega is force sensitive. Like if that's going to be like a reveal, it could even be a reveal at the end of the entire series type of thing. And that's why like we haven't seen her in anything else yet, because she like went in hiding because she, you know, realized, hey, I gotta figure out my skills. Like almost like, you know, what like I guess Luke did, you know, type of thing, where he went into hiding and trained type of thing.
Right.
So it kind of makes sense. But the other part of it I was wondering is if we can take the steps to put those not, like I said, not leaps, just little steps to assume if she has high metachlorian count, could potentially be force sensitive, could potentially have force abilities. Would she then have the ability for force healing? Because it seems like her character is kind of wanting to, you know, not only learn, like you said, and kind of adapt and kind of, you know, learn other things and stuff like that, like at a faster rate, but she wants to kind of put everything together, put everything back together, have one big happy family. Like, you know what I mean? She wants that. So in a way, her personality is of like a healing, like a caregiver vibe. So would she then be able to kind of like the reason I'm thinking about this is the whole scene where they're meditating and she puts her hand on Crosshair's hand that has the tremors. And I'm like, the immediate question I asked was, are we going to like, is this going to be a moment where we're going to see her accidentally use force heal or something like that? Like not even know that she has it type of thing. And like immediately see his hand like stop shaking. Obviously we didn't get that, but I'm just wondering, like, if these are fair steps to take, if this could be like little breadcrumbs leading us to that, to where the reveal is that she is force sensitive and she does have, you know, force abilities moving forward.
Right. I don't know what the end goal is for Omega as far as like what the high M count means. So I can't really dismiss it because I think anything's possible really at this point. But yeah, I don't know. She has an ability to make connections with wildlife and people, I feel like.
Yeah.
And of course, it just would, like we were talking about, just learning and adapting from others. It's just another thing. I think she's just like this kind of. She's kind of like the soup. She's got the ingredients of all the soup. So I don't know. Really, anything is possible.
Yeah, and I wasn't like asking for an answer. I mean, maybe people out there who are watching, maybe they have an idea and we can put it down in the comments because that would be really cool to get a cool discussion about this. But it was just I'm picking up on little breadcrumbs, like I said, with, you know, in terms of Crosshair, where we had a lot of attention to detail with his hand and with his tremors being not physical but mental. And so like I think those are breadcrumbs. Just like I said, I think those are breadcrumbs for, you know, down the line where he's going to have a breakthrough and he's going to be able to get past that. I also wonder if these little tiny, you know, details that they're giving us throughout other episodes with medical, like M count, and obviously she's a person of interest with high M count. And if we can take the step that M count means metachlorian count, meaning potentially force sensitive, you know what I mean? Like I'm taking tiny breadcrumbs and seeing where they could pay off. I'm very interested to see. I don't think there's an answer yet. Just like you said, I think, you know, anything's possible. It's just interesting. So I'm just kind of trying to make note of it now. And then if it happens, be like, oh shit, that was connecting. That was a little dot that was connecting for later on type of thing. So I'm just trying the little dots that are there. I'm like, hey, maybe that's one. Let's highlight it for now. So
Yeah, for sure. I like that we're on like the same mission as Hunter and Wrecker, basically, where we're trying to figure out why she's important to
Yes.
the Empire.
Why is she
But
important to
I'm
the
like,
Empire?
I don't know why she's that important to her either. I like we saw the blood count, but I don't understand why still.
Yeah, exactly. We're on the same page as Hunter and
There we
Wrecker at
go.
this point. So, but anyway, that's what we think. Let us know in the comments below. What do you think is going to happen, and how is this high M count going to come into play? And are we going to see Crosshair have a breakthrough and be able to get rid of the tremors moving forward? And as always, don't forget, like, subscribe, and turn on notifications to hear about all of our latest audio and video podcast releases. Bye, everybody!
Popping Off presents That Recap Show.
Just wanted to issue major spoiler alert. We are going to be going over everything that happened in... Oh, fuck.
You do episode 8 from Final Season. I heard you going for it already. I was like, maybe you should just go for that. I told him to go one way, and your brain goes, I'm going to do the opposite.
This is why I have so much trouble in daily life. My brain is just like constantly like, what are we going to do? We can go this way or that way. Let's just try to go both.
Yeah. You should play Baldur's Gate.
Hey, everybody.
Oh, boy. R2.